This episode is brought to you by San Pellegrino Ciao. A gift from Italy to your home. San Pellegrino Ciao is a flavored sparkling water made with real fruit juice, finished with a pinch of Sicilian salt for a perfectly balanced taste. So which flavor will you choose? Peach, lime, blood orange, cherry, or maybe the all-new limoncello? Crafted in Italy with 0 grams of added sugar. San Pellegrino Ciao. Buy it now.
Good morning. This is Mike Stoller for the Stoller Real Estate Report. Sales are booming throughout the city of New York and the multifamily world. What's the cause of this? Who's providing financing? Who's selling? All this information is available through my friend Joe Koicim, who is my guest today, the founding member of New York Multifamily Group, and also the managing director at Marcus Millichap.
Thank you, Michael, for having me again. It's great to see you.
You're
it's always
spending,
a pleasure to be here.
What is it, your 24th year?
My 23rd year.
23rd year.
In investment sales at Marcus, selling apartment buildings all throughout New York City. I've been in the trenches in New York City for 23 years, and I've sold through crashes, pandemics, and the most punishing regulatory environment this industry has ever seen. And I'm still here because New York real estate rewards people who understand it, and I'm fortunate to be here and know you for 22 years as well. I work with owners across all 5 boroughs, helping them navigate the market that is simultaneously the most complicated, the most resilient in the country. And right now, despite everything you're hearing about regulation and politics, this market is moving.
Why do you attribute this?
Like, you walk around New York City, especially right now, spring, and as we go into summer, things feel better. Energy's there. Office is back. People want to live here. People want to live near their office, and feeling stronger about all the fundamentals, especially apartment rents. I mean, we saw in the first quarter rents hit a median rent hit $5,000, which is significantly up. And we continue to see records and year-over-year growth in Brooklyn markets, just like Williamsburg and Greenpoint, and then obviously all the submarkets in Soho and the West Village that continue to rise rents and attract a lot more capital.
What happened in the Bronx? The Bronx sales were down for the quarter.
The Bronx is down mainly because of the rent stabilized component. And, we saw in the peak of the market, building sales for, Bronx, Uptown, anywhere from 13 to 15 times the rent. And that's not there anymore. There's distressed opportunities, and they're all stabilized buildings. There's no pathway to growth, mainly because of the 2019 rent laws that really had a big destruction on our industry. But really, what I'm seeing and feeling and hearing, their cap rates, 8 to 10 caps in northern Manhattan and the Bronx and some parts of Brooklyn that we're selling, it's the highest in the country.
But you were once called Joey 1 cap.
Yes. And, maybe I'm more like Joey 4.5 cap now downtown for value add or core multifamily free market, because free market's a totally different category where we're seeing the most volume and the most activity on the free market because of what's happening with the rents. But I just want to say something, because nobody rang a bell at 15 times the rent roll telling you to sell. And nobody's going to ring a bell at 5 times telling you to buy for these rent stabilized buildings. But we're seeing, you can't time the market perfectly. The owners who are waiting for perfect clarity before they transact on these rent stabilized buildings are going to look back at this moment in time the same way people look back at buying Manhattan real estate in 94. And the distress is priced in. The politics are priced in. What isn't priced in yet is the recovery. And I think, when are you going to price in the recovery? We're going to price in the recovery because, it's because of what's happening where you can finance these buildings. And there's a real spread between interest rates and cap rates on these uptown buildings. The problem is that a lot of these buildings require a lot of capital, and you don't see the growth. But if you're already buying them at, these stabilized buildings at 8 to 10 caps at very low bases, sub $100 a foot, I think there is, patient capital out there, and we're seeing it and seeing a lot of buyers jump in. A lot of buyers for that product that left the state, left the city and went out of state are coming back because they're priced out of those submarkets, and that was oversupply. And there's a real undersupply problem in New York City.
So where do you see the possible growth for an individual?
For an individual building owner? Or?
For a building owner, yes.
The possible growth is on the free market side in terms of.
But how much free market side? Everybody wants free market side. So what are they getting?
Well, that's a good question because everyone thinks their buildings are free market, and diligence has been a big issue in terms of proving out the deregulation.
Right. You mentioned that to me the other day. So let's talk about the diligence for the deregulation.
So that's the first question on any building that I have that's substantially free market. Is how's the paperwork? And every owner is going to tell us that the paperwork is great. It's then getting to the bottom of it, and where we come in as a team, I have a sizable team that comes in and helps navigate around that process. And we've been able to successfully sell, 40 buildings this year already, and we're on track to do north of 100 buildings this year. And we're selling anything from $4 million to $200 million assets. And from the smallest building that has the problems to the biggest building, it's just being able to substantiate the deregulation paperwork to get someone comfortable to buy it. And institutions won't tolerate it. Certain buyers will more than others. And, we've been successful at executing those transactions.
So what's happening in Queens? Queens has always been an interesting market.
Queens is strong. Good fundamentals, especially Astoria, close to the city. We're selling a lot of stabilized assets there that are, commanding higher prices just because of location and the quality of the asset versus some of the parts of the Bronx and Uptown. But my main focus and what we've been seeing a lot of activity on is really downtown and some of these 80% free market buildings. We just closed on a building in Soho about a month ago to an exchange buyer, bought it all cash at a 4.5 cap. And you would think at that level, that seller made money. He was happy to get out, but he bought it in the peak, right? When it was 1 caps, when you could move out tenants, when you could raise the rents, and that changed, and taxes went up. And now, the seller was
how
thrilled.
Does a owner raise the rents in today's market? Especially, excuse me?
On free market assets?
Not on free market.
Well, on stabilized assets, you can't really push the rents more than $83 per apartment, right? And there's no way, and that's why we're still seeing a lot of vacant apartments out there because of what's happened with the rent loss. And something has to change, and there's a lot of optimism that something will change. Maybe not in the near term. Potentially, things may get a little worse before it gets better on that side of things with the politics. But there's a lot more hopeful owners out there that are more patient in terms of, seeing a future in New York on the stabilized side. And I don't think there's a better time to buy this based on where rates are compared to where you could buy these cap rates on rent stabilized buildings.
With regard to that, who's financing these deals today?
So we're seeing a lot more of these community savings banks come back in. Citizens, customers, agencies playing a big role in this as well, and probably the most attractive. And also CMBS is starting to come in with more attractive terms. Mostly agency and the local banks, I would say.
What about foreign investors?
Big time. So we've been very active specifically with these Japanese groups. We've closed probably 18 transactions with several different Japanese investment groups that have been able to take advantage of the difference in currency and mainly the tax benefit that they get in Japan for owning these type of buildings that they're able to depreciate further. No different than the opportunity in the U.S. in buying buildings with car washes or gas stations to get the accelerated depreciation. So we have one client that is allocated $750 million towards middle market multifamily buildings in New York City, and they'll take a little bit of retail. They're buying a bunch of just single retail as well, and they have been, we have 3 contracts out with this one group right now.
What's happening with regard to conversion of office buildings to residential?
It's happening. Our financing group, Max Herzog, and his team have been tremendously involved in a lot of financing of these transactions, from the office to condo conversion, or just straight resi rental conversion. We did the Pfizer refi a couple of months back. Acquisition financing on that, and not every building works for it, right? That's clear, but the ones that do. It's happening, and you're seeing a lot more of that come to market and execute. I'm selling another building in the West Village that's going to stay office, not convert, even though it's in the West Village. That's a boutique office opportunity.
So it sounds, in summary, Happy times are here again. Any other thoughts?
I think that's clear, is that the market feels better. There's a lot more momentum for multifamily, specifically in the free market space. The story's never been better. And if you're holding stabilized, you need to have an honest conversation about what the market will actually pay today and where you're going with it. But my job after 22 years is still the same: bring buyers and sellers together at the price that makes sense for both sides. And right now, there's more opportunity to do that at any point that I've seen since 2018.
So as you celebrate your 22nd or 23rd, I'm not sure.
I'm not
I'm
sure.
very happy that I've known you, and I'm happy to see that business is much better than it has been.
Likewise. Yeah.
Thanks
it's great
again
to see you,
for
Michael.
being here.
Thank you.